Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Tuesday, December 7th Madison City Council meeting. We are filming the meeting and we are streaming it live on City Madison YouTube channel. A couple of introductions tonight. I want to introduce Jason Judd, who is here representing Jenner, Madison, and Sharp, our attorneys, so in Joe's absence. And then we also have Mr. Barger's government class here tonight. So say hi, everybody. There you go. Make sure they can hear you on TV. Great. Well, we have a fantastic agenda for tonight. We will start with removing our hats, standing up, and bowing our heads and reciting the Lord's Prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we'll get into the agenda. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, power, and glory forever. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks, and it's great to see so many people here tonight. Roll call, clerk.
Yes. Kevin Allen? Here. Lucy Detillo?
Here.
Rampy?
Here.
Bartlett?
Here.
Chatham?
Here.
Dan Detillo?
Here.
And Krebs?
She's absent.
Excuse that.
Council, have you had an opportunity to review the minutes from November 16th? So, entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I move to approve the minutes as presented.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. All right, moving right along. I'd like to introduce Aisha Cornelius. A little background, she's a graduate student from Indiana Wesleyan University. We met this past summer at a Juneteenth event here in Madison. And we had a great conversation there, and Aisha reached out to me a couple weeks ago about attending a city council meeting as part of her work in her master's degree. And I said, well, why just attend? Why don't you take a few moments and talk about yourself and share your story with us about the barriers you've overcome in your life. And I thought it was very interesting when she and I met this summer, hearing about her story, her testimony, and really the willpower and how to overcome adversity in one's life. So, Aisha, I'd like to introduce you and welcome you to City Council and all of your representatives here. You're also being streamed live on our YouTube channel, but welcome to City Madison Council.
I appreciate you guys letting me speak today. My name is Aisha. I'm from Terre Haute, Indiana. I moved to Madison in 2011, but let me back up a little bit. I'm a young girl who was a product of her environment. I grew up in an environment where there was drinking and drugs, where I was beat, and at the age of 12 years old, I was stabbed in the back of my head by my mom and her boyfriend while they were fighting. It paralyzed me. I was a minor, and with that being said, from that moment on, my mom had got locked up, and I was on my own from that point on. I faced many adversities, homelessness. I had nowhere to go. My family tried to help out, but you know, I was a young kid trying to overcome things, so I had some emotional and mental disabilities. And I remember getting out of the hospital, and I was trying to walk down the street, and I kept falling because I couldn't really move my leg or my arm because it affected my left side. And there was a hill, but my family was up that hill, and that day I climbed up that hill on my knees, and I made it to my family. That would be the trademark of my life. Being a product of my environment, I got into drugs and alcohol myself. Got into some trouble with the law. From there, in 2010, I started to change my life a little bit, but then in 2011, when I moved here, I said I have to do something about this. This cannot keep going on. So I enrolled at Ivy Tech, and I started working on my associate's degree. I graduated from there, although I was student of the month 4 times at Ivy Tech. With all the students there, I was the student of the month. And then from there, I went to Union Institute and University to get my bachelor's with a concentration in addiction. And then from there, now I'm in my master's degree at Indiana Wesleyan University in a MSW for social work. I tell you guys these things because when I moved here, I seen that the same problems here that was back home. And so I've emerged myself into helping people. I've worked at Centerstone Women's Recovery Center. I've worked at Sunrise Recovery Center. And I worked at the women's prison. After all the trouble I got into, yes, me, they let me work over there as a counselor. Working with those women really opened my eyes to my own adversities in my life. And now I work for Groups Recover Together, where I am helping other addicts to have hope, just like somebody had hope in me. Through everything I've been through, I think I can stay here today and say I've changed my life. Through everything that I've been through, I've changed. And I know that there's other people that can change if people just give them one chance. I've had a million, but I took that one chance and I lived on it. I want to read you something, and I want to end with this. A young girl was walking along the beach of one, which thousands of starfish had been washed up during a terrible storm. When she came to each starfish, she would pick one up and throw it back into the ocean. People watched her with amusement. She had been doing this for some time when a man approached her and said, "Little girl, why are you doing this? Look at this beach. You cannot save all these starfish. You can't begin to make a difference." The little girl seemed crushed, suddenly deflated. But after a few minutes, she bent down, picked up another starfish, and hurled it as far as she could into the ocean. She looked up to the man and replied, "Well, I made a difference with that one." And that's what I'm here to do, is to make a difference with just one person. I personally in my life take people from Madison to other treatment centers outside here with my own gas and my own money, on my own time. Even sometimes put my own schoolwork aside or dinner, just to make sure that somebody gets a chance, because somebody gave me a chance. And that one person believed in me, and it only took one. And today, I have a clientele of people that say, "Hey, Aisha, thank you for doing what you're doing because it gave me hope." And it's a trail of things. When I start to flourish, other people will flourish because they want to be just like me, not for the bad things, but for the good things. And for that, I'm forever grateful.
Aisha, tell me a little more about the class studies that brought you here tonight.
It's a policy class. It's a social welfare policy class, and I had to attend a meeting just because I'm writing my own policy. And my policy is on addiction, and I've done a lot of study. I'm 27 pages into this policy. I'm just looking up different things like here, everywhere in Indiana, looking at numbers, looking at different laws, bills, policies, and how they differ and how they're the same, and how we as a community can come together to make a difference.
You were extremely articulate, and also I could sense you were pretty nervous about being
Yes.
here, but all of us need hope, and we need somebody to care about us, and when someone does care about us and makes us believe in ourselves, anything's possible, and I think you really demonstrate that.
Yes, I think, I lost my mom in 2015 due to her addiction. And that was the last time I had my addiction. And I got into recovery because I didn't want her death to be in vain. Nobody has to die.
Where did you do your recovery at? I mean, describe
Here.
that process, okay?
Here in Madison, I moved here, and what really inspired me, I used to go on Facebook and see people living life, the people I went to school with. And my teachers were reaching out to me, and I had a mentor at Ivy Tech. His name was Tony Schellenberger. And he seen me when I first came in, and then when I was a student of the month for the first time, him and Nina Alcorn and Barbara Blade and them, they wrote this article about me, and it blew me away. I couldn't believe it. The things they said, it was so amazing. And every time I tried to give up, they said, "No, you keep going." And so I started going to meetings. I got a sponsor. I went to some treatment centers, and then I started working in the field. And I just wanted more, and I I said, you know, no one has to die because I didn't. Why was I able to live? And it's because my God favored me.
What can we do as a community that, in your observation, would help others more?
I don't think meetings alone can keep anybody clean. It's part of willpower, but getting the treatment and the help that they need. If they had somewhere that they could go and get treatment that was close to home, you gotta understand, a lot of addicts, just like myself, when I was homeless, I didn't have money, I didn't have a cell phone, I had a car, I had nothing, I was bankrupt. But I think with, you know, the resources that they need, if somebody could be a voice for them, as I've done, this whole weekend I was woke up at 2 or 3 in the morning with people calling me, wanting to go to treatment, and when they call, I go. And so I woke up and I called some treatment centers, 24-hour treatment centers, and was willing to go pick them up and take them where they needed to go. So it's about getting the treatment that you need, because really it's the trauma. The trauma is the real reason why a lot of people, I think, are addicted to a lifestyle. No one understands how to overcome that trauma. And for some people I've met, they have nobody. They literally have not one person that they can lean on. And I want to be that person, so if I keep doing what I'm doing, we'll cross paths and I'll be able to help them as I help myself.
There's a group here in Madison who participated, and I think several others here in the audience participated, Healthy Communities Initiatives. And that group started out kind of after a comprehensive community-wide survey was done about what our health needs were, and mental health and addiction services were identified as the two services in greatest need that were unmet here in our community. That study was probably done 5 or 6 years ago, and a lot of work has been done to try to, you know, make services more available. And one of the things that they're doing right now that I think is pretty unique, it's about investing in overcoming trauma, helping children overcome trauma at an early age. And there's a thing called ACEs, which is Adverse Childhood Experiences, and you can look at all the data now, and when you look at an adult that is, you know, has addiction or some other types of substance use disorder, many times it can be traced back to trauma as a child. You indicated you had trauma as a child. And then also the importance of a peer recovery network is really, really important for those who will have a lifelong recovery over addiction or some types of substance use. It's a lifelong thing. What do you practice? How do you do it? And how do you succeed and others not?
Number one, I have a higher power. I pray a lot. When I'm driving in my car, I'm praying a lot. But for me, it's taking heed of what people tell me, because I can't do this alone. I have sponsors everywhere. I talk to people on a daily basis to see what I can do to better myself. I'm not going to be defined by my past. And a lot of people that I've met in the rooms, they don't want to be defined by their past. Either that trauma is something I work on by getting counseling, by talking to other people and letting it out. And that's why there are certain steps when it comes to the meetings. It's a 12-step method, because if I follow those simple steps, then that helps me talk more about my trauma and talk to somebody who can better help me. I think getting it out and talking about it really helps a person, because the thing is, we were to be seen and not heard. And when you go through life living like that, you don't feel like you have a voice to speak up and say, this is wrong, no, or anything like that. So I think letting yourself have a voice and speaking up for yourself and saying, hey, I need help and I need help now, taking your treatment, and you go right then and there and you talk those things out. I think that really helped, because that really helped me, because I didn't realize the trauma I had been through, because it was so much, you know, and then I just piled more on top, and so it's peeling back the onion, and that's what I'm doing in my life today. I'm peeling back the onion.
Well, I commend you for the action you're taking to improve your life. I'll tell you, as a policymaker here and being mayor, one of the hardest things that we face is how do we deal with the social issues across our community. And when I talk to other mayors and elected leaders at the state and federal level, we're dealing with this in every single community, in every single state, all across the country. And public health is so vital for all of us. But unfortunately, Indiana as a state ranks very, very low with regard to public health compared to its peers because of chronic diseases, but also because of addiction and mental health. And I'm serving right now on Governor Holcomb's Commission on Public Health, trying to find some solutions that we can identify to the legislature to make a bigger investment toward public health, because the health of our communities has a direct correlation with the health of our economies and our workforce and our quality of life and how much money we spend on healthcare versus other things. But it's an overwhelming challenge, to be quite candid with you. It is really overwhelming when we think about all of the needs that a community has that many of us are not prepared for and are not funded for. So as part of the role of this health commission, we're looking for ways to make that the right investment so that the outcome can be better. It's not about spending more on healthcare, it's about getting more out of the dollars you spend. And I think all of us have seen skyrocketing healthcare costs, but at the same time, the correlation here for the state of Indiana is that our life expectancies are dropping. So we need to make some changes, and it's going to require a lot of investment. It's not been done before. I don't want to put you on the spot, but you mentioned having a voice. We have a group of high school students here tonight who are doing the same thing you're doing. They're here to get credit for Mr. Barger's government class, so they're here, observing how policy works, and we're grateful for everybody here. What would you like to share with the high school students who are looking at government and policy and starting out on their lives?
I feel like I didn't understand it either until I started taking this class. And I mean, that first class, I thought, man, I'm withdrawing out of school. But what I realized, what I'm learning in this class is that right now we're talking about redlining. I don't know if you guys know what that is, things of that nature. It just brings everything together and how policies are made and how who it affects. People don't think it, but it does. It affects us all. Every policy or bill affects us all. And so I did a timeline, and this president back in the 1800s said this, but now that we're in the 2000s, some of those policies still stand. And just rewriting a policy is not as easy as people think it is, and especially when it comes to things that addiction wasn't real big back then. So there wasn't really a lot of policies. There was, but not like it is today, and really breaking down that. And I keep reading it, what I've wrote, and it's like, wow, I didn't realize how the stigma and epidemic have really affected us, especially them.
Yeah. There's a whole spectrum here of prevention and certainly the educational aspect of it is extremely important. Treatment, and then there's the enforcement side of things. All of those have to work together. It seems like sometimes it's hard to make the hard decisions. It's hard to make those hard calls, but those are the things that we have to do in order to move our communities forward. Earlier today, I was having a meeting about another topic, but the solution was hard to find because, as you were talking about policies, some of the policies that we're still governed by have been on the books 40, 50, 60 years, and they have not been modernized. They do not accommodate the current trends in current society. And so oftentimes we're faced with a problem, but the solution isn't easy. And sometimes the solution also has a big price tag attached to it, and that makes it even more difficult because of the way state, local, federal budgets are formulated. All politics is local. And what I mean by that is whatever happens at the federal level, what you said earlier is exactly true. it affects us all. What happens at the state legislature affects us here on Main Street, whether it's, you know, the laws being passed in the Capitol building or in DC. It all affects us. The best thing we can do as individuals is really be aware and self-educate ourselves and advocate. I have not yet met an elected official who did not embrace hearing from their constituents, you know, all the way from the federal to the local level. And that's why our government is what it is. We have representatives at all levels, and then there's a committee process, and there's specialists. There's a lot of educated people out there who are creating data to help policymakers make good decisions. But they also need to hear from all of us about the impact that those policies are having on our day-to-day lives, or the impact a policy could have on our day-to-day life to solve a problem. Sometimes identifying the problem is the easiest thing, right? Everybody can recognize a problem. The scale of it, the scope of it, the solution for it, the significance of it, those are always a little harder and they take longer, but we've got to be involved. We've got to vote. We have to be educated. We have to be willing to ask questions. We have to hold our elected leaders accountable and not be shy. And I'll get off my soapbox for a second here, and that is that the biggest thing we can do also is elect good people. And all across the country, and even locally here, we've seen voter turnout get smaller and smaller, particularly in local elections. You'll never find a more accessible policy, or sort of greater accessibility to your policymakers than you will locally. You can call any of us up, you can come to a meeting, you can come to City Hall. Sometimes that access isn't quite as readily available at the state or federal level, but you'll never find people more accessible than your local elected leaders, and yet our voter turnout percentages are dropping. People aren't going to vote. They're not taking an interest. Is it that they have lost hope? They're disengaged? We need everybody to be engaged. And we need everybody to exercise their potential of being a difference maker. And you're a difference maker. And sharing your story, your passion, helps everybody else. Helps us all to be better. I'm really grateful you're here tonight, and we're happy to answer any questions too. But thank you for being here, and I'd give you an A+. You know, if I was grading your paper, I'd give you an A+.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you again.
Thank you, Aisha.
Thank you.
Now on to the policy side of things a little bit. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Quick question, Aisha, where is the closest inpatient treatment center when you're taking people, transporting them to these facilities?
I'm sorry. I usually, there's one in Indianapolis, which you know that's a little farther. In Greenwood, there's one called Cardinal Recovery, and that's for men and women. As you go further, you have Indianapolis, which have several, but they have Landmark Recovery. Landmark's in Louisville. They're everywhere, but you know, they just opened some in Carmel, which takes HIP, and then they have one that takes commercial. But I usually take them to Sunrise Recovery. It's for men and women. They do, again, take government-assisted insurance and commercial and self-pay. It's not just because I work there. I just think it's a good program because you get back in life what you put out. You know, you get back what you put out. And if you give it 100%, you can do it. And then there's the Healing Place in Louisville for men and women. It's the most successful. It's free because it's a homeless shelter / recovery center. You just can't be on certain drugs because they don't give drugs. It's a long-term program that really has a high success rate, and then they send you off to Oxford houses where you could be successful.
Thank you. I just wasn't sure where the closest facilities were.
So, Clarksville, because you got Turning Point, PAX, and then that. Then
Aisha, Lexington, Centerstone has Lexington.
Oh, and Centerstone has women's. Yeah, I used to work there. Centerstone has Women's Recovery Center in Lexington, Indiana, and then you got Wooded Glen in Henryville for men and women.
These are inpatient, right?
Yes. Now, where I work at groups is outpatient. I'm just a peer recovery coach, and I'm a certified peer recovery coach, community health worker, and so I work as a recovery coach for groups.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
You know, just one final note on Governor Holcomb's mission with the Public Health Commission, and that is to make a bigger, more substantial investment in public health statewide, because he sees the relevance of it across the board. We're dealing with financial issues, we're dealing with how those services are dispersed across our communities. There's a lot of decentralization right now that impacts how services are delivered. A lot of data is being gathered, and it's a very important commission and goal that he has to improve public health across the state. Thank you, Aisha. Any other comments or questions? Okay. We'll turn it over to resolutions.
All right, resolution,
Mike there. Please. Thank you.
can you hear me? All right, resolution number 2021-72, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of Madison, Indiana, transferring certain funds. Whereas, as circumstances have developed since the 2021 annual budget adoption, it is now necessary to transfer certain funds among their original appropriations. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Common Council of the City of Madison, Indiana, that the following certain funds are transferred. From county tax, building and structure, $1,476.76 to CCI, building and structure, $1,476.76.
Can we approve them all at once, or do we have to do each one individually?
I think you can approve them all together. I'll read resolution number 2021-73. A resolution of the Common Council of the City of Madison, Indiana, transferring certain funds. Whereas, as circumstances have developed since the 2021 annual budget adoption, it is now necessary to transfer certain funds among their original appropriations. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Common Council of the City of Madison, Indiana, that the following certain funds are transferred from the county tax account. From county tax, new equipment, $11,860. Rainy day materials and supplies, $50,000. To county tax, lease purchase / principal, $61,860. Resolution number 2021-74, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of Madison, Indiana, transferring certain funds. Whereas, as circumstances have developed since the 2021 annual budget adoption, it is now necessary to transfer certain funds among their original appropriations. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Common Council of the City of Madison, Indiana, that the following certain funds are transferred. From county tax, historic district, $80,000. To PACE, NRO, $80,000.
Council, I'm just here in case you have any questions. Any of them.
I move that we approve resolutions 2021-72, 73, and 74 as read.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Comments, questions? Roll call, clerk.
Dandatillo,
Yes.
Bartlett,
Yes.
Chapman,
Yes.
Rampy,
Yes.
Lucy DeTillo,
Yes.
Tevenall. Yes.
Thank you, Council. Council, are there any matters to come before us tonight with regard to reports, recommendations, or other business from standing or select study committees of City Council?
Just a reminder, we'll have an executive session November 14th at 5 o'clock for board appointment,
December 14th?
or December 14th, sorry.
Okay. Now I'd like to invite our utility superintendent, Brian Jackson, to give the report.
Good evening, everybody. I'll get right into it. I'll start out with a brief wastewater update. As I've mentioned before, our waste treatment plant is a Class 3, 3.6 million gallon a day activated sludge treatment facility, but I'm sure you guys all knew that already. I just wanted to give you an update. Recently, the plant received final approval on our Mpds National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System permit from the Indiana Department of Environmental Management, IDEM. This puts us in compliance with the provisions of the Federal Water Pollution Control Act. The Mpds permit is effective dates are from last Wednesday, December 1st, 2021 through November 30th, 2026, a 5-year permit. One condition of this permit is it requires us to submit monthly federal discharge monitoring reports, DMRs, and monthly reports of operations, MROs, and those documents are completed by our wastewater superintendent, Jay Thompson, which I don't know if any of you have met Jay, but he does a good job down there. And then each month they're certified and submitted by me to IDEM. And basically these monthly reports essentially keep us in good standing with IDEM and the EPA and show that we are adhering to our permit. The second update I'd like to give is on our water project, which I've given several times to you guys. As you know, we've been working on the water rate study and subsequent water rate increase that'll be needed to address the upcoming infrastructure improvements and rehab needed throughout the city. The construction and rehab work will take place at the storage tanks and towers, the water treatment plants, and it involves upgrading approximately 22,000 lineal feet of the water mains within our distribution system throughout the city. Currently, Shermer Barber Mullican, Commonwealths, and myself have been doing research and compiling the data to help the accountants calculate what the new rates should be based on the city's needs and upcoming projects. And as you know, one of the reasons the rate study has taken longer than usual, we initially applied for some SWIFT grants or for some county funds, and both of those, well, the SWIFT grants fell through. We did not meet all of the state's criteria that they had established based on our user rates and some other criteria, that and 500 applicants applied for it. And the county, they have committed to some money, but we're not exactly sure how much, but it's really a negligible amount. We initially asked for $2.5 million. We may get $100,000 to $200,000, which in the scope of a $13 to $15 million project is really not going to affect the rates that much. So once that's completed, then we'll go on with that. Let's see, lost track of where I was.
Brian, what's the time frame on that? Do you know?
Well, I spoke to the accountants yesterday, and it's Kevin Mullican and Tracy Wine that are working on it. Tracy got back with me because I figured that was going to be a question, and the best she could tell me was they hope to wrap it up very soon. Yeah, that's pretty vague, I know, but they hope that. But I mean, we've changed a lot of things, some of the criteria on them. That's one of the reasons it's taken so long. I mean, if we keep changing the endpoint and telling them different things, they have to recalculate everything. And I just submitted to them a lot of data Monday.
Okay. So are they moving forward without any money from the county then?
Basically, yes. That's what I told them. And they may include the 100,000, but like I said, it's
what we'll do, just interject for a second, is we'll finish the rate study. We'll have another conversation with the commissioners, ask them again to support the Jefferson County Clean Water Initiative that we're doing, since we provide water to 75% of the county, and in fact, probably a majority of the water we pump, treat, and distribute is used by county water users. That fair statement?
Yeah. Well, I was just going to talk more about the SWIFT grant. One of the reasons, I mean, to elaborate on that, one of the reasons we didn't get it, I mean, that they sent out basically a statement saying,
after
after we had applied and after we'd done all this work, saying that the project funding was prioritized for communities, and I'll just go over the drinking water portion, with a minimum of $70 a month fee for 4,000 gallons. And ours is currently $9.48. So if we had known that going in, we would have not wasted all of our time putting together. I mean, and there are some other, we did address some of their issues, projects that address regional needs, but with that huge of disparate discrepancy between what they want and where we are, we're probably not gonna get any SWIFT grants in the spring either, based on that information.
But so, we'll wrap up the rate study without any inclusion of financial support from the county, and then we'll present the rate study to them, and identify to them what the impact on the proposed rate would be if they made a more, significant contribution. Again, reach out to your commissioners, reach out to your council people. They still have yet to commit their ARP dollars. They've talked about a lot of different ways to spend those funds, but they've not made a larger commitment than what was done originally. And just to kind of emphasize too, with Brian on how low our rates are, which is in the past it didn't create enough funding for us to support replacement of major elements of our water infrastructure. A typical household across the community can get all the water they need on demand every day. And when I say that, we're pumping it, treating it, storing it, and distributing it on demand to them for about a quarter a day. And that does not leave money for the investment that we need to make in order to maintain the system. And it's been 20 years since an investment like this has been made in our water infrastructure. So while there will be a rate increase, I still think it will be manageable, particularly compared to average water rates across the state and in nearby counties.
Right, and I'll try to,
Yeah.
once we get to that point, I'll try to put something together to show you how we compare statewide and with some local communities and things like that. And we're still probably gonna be in the top 10 lowest in the state, even after our rate increase, so we should be doing okay.
Do either of you know if the latest round of federal stimulus money, if we would qualify for any of the stuff that was earmarked for, or is that still?
Not sure.
Yeah, I don't know that either.
It hasn't been defined enough about how it's going to be out. Indiana's going to get $8 to $9 billion.
But if they let the state
Yeah.
decide how it goes out through the SWIFT, then we're probably not gonna qualify. Their reasoning is that we can get more money out of our rate, get more funds to take care of our system out of our rates, and we should do that. Because other communities, and I guess there were several that were paying more than $70 a month for 4,000 gallons, because they're the ones, yes, it's hard to imagine, but that's, yeah, our bill,
The ones
our
who
whole
fund
bill
it-
for water, wastewater, trash, and everything right now for the minimum is only $40. That's recycling, that's everything. And even at 4,000 gallons, you're probably still only looking under $60, and that's water, sewer, trash, recycling. We pick up compost. I mean, you name it. We really do a lot for the city. Tony's guys do a whole lot for the city. So
More to come on that, but that's what we're working for.
that's all I had. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Well, we all like to drive on nice roads and walk on good sidewalks, so we'll invite our street superintendent, Tony Sorrells, to give a report. And we like our neighborhoods clean, and that's what Tony does.
My guys do.
Tony and his team. Great team.
Good evening, council. I've just got a few things to update you on. As of today, we picked up 131 tons of leaves. Kind of got lucky this year, I guess, in the way they came down all at once. So we don't have to keep running circles all over town to pick them up as they fall. Bad point is, we spend longer doing it. So I guess it's a wash, we're still out there every day picking them up. The second thing, our snow plows are ready. Everything's ready to go. Brine systems put together. Brine tanks are full, ready for the first snow. The third thing is we're doing a job on East Street, sidewalk and curb job, and it's a pretty big job. It's probably bigger than we've done in quite a while. And what kind of brought that on is we had a firm come in and rate our sidewalks, similar to the way they rate the streets and stuff. And I think from here on out, we're going to be concentrating in a bigger area when we do sidewalks, instead of just kinda going to one part of town and doing a few sections a little bit there. We're kinda gonna concentrate in a bigger area, and, makes a big difference. So all the way from, Vaughn to Main Street on the east side, the curbs or sidewalks will be, most of them replaced. We've got some in there. One section was a brick sidewalk, really nice. And then there's a few sections that the sidewalk was fine, so we don't tear everything out, so, but that's all I've got.
Is there a schedule still for leaf pickup on the curbs, just with the back, or?
We really don't have a schedule. We thought about that for years and years, and there's just really no good way to make a schedule, but we're out every day doing it.
If folks have them, just call down.
Yeah, just have them out and call down here, and we'll get to them. And I know a lot of people, kinda think that the downtown gets more attention than the hilltop. And it probably does, and there's two reasons for that. One of them is parking. Downtown parking is a premium. People rake the piles of leaves and stuff out, and it takes up parking spots. But the biggest reason is a lot of people don't realize we have like 250 storm drain inlets where the water goes down. 90% downtown. Takes a long time to clean those off. We had a guy out 5 o'clock Monday morning cleaning storm drains. That's why we stay downtown, because it's just a lot more potential for flooding and stuff downtown to get in people's basements and stuff. So that's why we spend so much time downtown.
Appreciate the work you do.
Tony, you guys are doing a great job. The city looks beautiful. All the lights and decorations, Tony's team did. We want to talk about the DLC.
Yeah, when we started out, the DLC girls, we couldn't do without them. Most of last year we did not have them because of COVID. We started out leaf season with one crew, and then a few weeks later we got a second crew, and that makes a big difference. So, yeah, they're just a big help. We couldn't do without them.
And the good news is, we got a call today that they're ready to extend, they want to extend the contract we have with them for 2 crews, so we're in the process of documenting that now. So we'll have them, and assuming everybody stays healthy, then we'll have them out working, and when they're not, helping him with trash or leaves, they've been painting curbs and fire hydrants, and lots of work we have for them to help keep the community looking good. Any questions for Tony?
Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to invite our Madison Fire Department Chief Bill DeVries.
Good evening, Council. Hope all is well. Just some statistics we've had from this year, December to December. We've responded to nearly 559 calls. We'll average about 600 for this year, which I took over in 2013. We've since tripled our number of calls since 2013. Some of that has been through our medical response that we're now doing, so I'll just kind of go into some key areas that we've seen an uptick over the last few years. So 50 of the calls we've responded to this year have been fire type calls, 20 of those including structure fires. 200 medical type of calls, 24 of those this year have been cardiac arrest calls. 7 vehicle extrications, 12 rope rescues. This has been a historical number of the park runs that we've had for Fall State Park. I believe Madison Township and Rikers Ridge have responded nearly 30 times out there for lost hikers, injured hikers, 12 of those of which we've had to use actually some rope systems to gain access and get that person safely back up to the hillside. 40 hazardous conditions, including 20 natural gas leaks. It seems like Madison has some really old gas pipelines downtown. We have 20 of those calls already this year. 104 false alarms. I really love false alarms because it means everybody gets to go home and nobody has any lost property. With those, with the inception of the ring programs, the ring alarms, the ring alerts, those do have a tendency to have some false alarms with those, but we're okay having those false alarms. Early notification for any fire is always a key. We're in the final stages of updating our fire company contracts. Those should be put in place by January 1. Training, just some key points. Since December of last year, we've hosted state courses in hazmat operations, hazmat awareness. Firefighter 1 and Firefighter 2 we're finishing up. This year's class will be done in December. So members of the department have logged 2,147 hours and 15 minutes for fire rescue and medical training. So I'd like to wrap up with one of the things I'm really excited about is we have Christmas with a Hero, a Shout with a Firefighter. The date of the event is December 18th. We're excited to have a really good, strong partner with us this year. Madison Elks Lodge has graciously opened their facility and made a large monetary contribution to the cause. So they're going to help us host that this year. Arvin Sango members just this morning made a huge sizable donation as well. We're still taking applications at City Hall and all the local schools. So the deadline is this Friday the 10th at 5 p.m. Any other questions from the council?
I've said it before, when Chief and his team are not actually responding to calls or training to respond to calls. I mean, Chief, the coordination that you guys have for training, the commitment you have for training, being the most professional fire department in the state, I'm grateful for. And it's amazing that it is volunteers who are willing to come out in the middle of the night and address an emergency when people are literally at the worst experience of their lives. Thank you for all you do.
You said that they're responding to medical emergencies now. Is there a specific firehouse that's doing that?
It could be any of the members. Originally started at Station 6 back in the late 90s. Since then, Station 5 has come on board, and not every member of every station. It was near and dear to my heart, and like I said, when I took over in 2013, I was approached by one of the paramedics from KDH asking if we could get a little bit more aggressive with it. So we did. We've offered several classes every year. We work with Ivy Tech, we work with KDH on getting the training for the emergency medical responders or EMTs or paramedics. Or some of our guys that we have are EMTs or paramedics. So with that, not one station responds to all the calls. We have about 27 members throughout the department that can respond to those type of calls.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Hey, Bill, how many volunteer firefighters do we have across the city?
It's almost like I thought you were going to ask that. The current membership list is 113 members. 50 of those are senior status members, which means they are over the age of 70.
How many was over 70?
50.
50?
50.
It's like 3,500 years of experience.
Pretty much.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Thank you. All right, Deputy Mayor McGee, give us an update on roads.
Hello, Council. I have invited Kenny Washer to join me this evening so that he can answer any questions and we can officially announce to you the end of the summer Main Street road maintenance program. Yay!
Is that our Christmas present?
Yes.
I mean, is that,
No one's happier about that than Kenny Washer, I am pretty sure.
That's correct.
I told Kenny I would like him to come to help answer any question, but I lied to you. I really just wanted to give you a sort of a summary of that project, because we tend to forget what all went on in that. And Kenny was there from start to finish on that project. So it ended up being a over 5 month job. Working with 3 different companies. So we had a contractor, they had 2 subcontractors. It was 5 phases. There was major asphalt patching, crack sealing, mastic repair, the liquid road application, and then we come back and do striping. That's all the complete set for each one of those pieces in 3 different areas that were completely different. Business district, where we were interrupting businesses and parking and driving and residents that live above. And then the more residential area on the west end, which had a whole host of different issues, blocking people into their property with literally no access to it when we were doing Liquid Road, again, parking. And then Hanover Hill, which is its own animal with, deep repair and heavy truck traffic and trying to stop them from coming down, and what do we do with them when they get down there. It was long work days. We tried a bunch of different schedules, but honestly it was probably 6 a.m. to 10:30, 11 o'clock at night when you include the work day where they were actually working, the prep before it, and waiting for it to dry or whatever needed to happen with it, and then opening up that road and moving all those barricades and cones to the next section for the next day. We tried to be constantly updating public communication on what was happening when, what's going on tomorrow, what can you plan for in the next couple of days. We had various formats to do that. We did, the newspaper helped us by reporting at the public meetings. We had it on the website, Facebook. Our subcontractor had a site that was really good, that they kept update for us on what the schedule was, We had printed materials delivered door to door. We've literally knocked door to door in several different phases of the project to talk face to face to people, or at least leave information so they knew somewhat what was going on. Some of the issues that we encountered during this project, the contractors and subcontractors dealt with staffing issues just like we all do. There were days they didn't have enough staff. People didn't show up for work. We had delayed start times because of that. We had extended work days because of that. Weather issues. We had equipment failures. Kenny's favorite. We were managing traffic with barricades and cones, people driving through them, moving them out of their way. It endangered the workers. They drove through our wet applications several times. We had a police chase, right after we finished it. So, just some of the things, Kenny was the manager of all of that process. So some of the things that Kenny made sure happened, he actually made several equipment repairs for one of the subcontractors. They had a hose issue, they had a pump that went out, and Kenny went down to the garage and fixed their pump for them so that they could come out the next day and get the application down. I think he welded on a bar on their applicator that fell off. He just kept them working. He managed our detour routes, which was not one set route. It changed as we moved down the road. That had to change, and Kenny was out there making sure all that happened. He coordinated with our street and utility department for the use of the street sweeper. That had to come through before they could do some of the work. The street had to be cleaned, so that's a piece of equipment in a different department. Coordinating drivers for that. It's only a small group of people that can do that every day, and every day that they were going to be there. It's just a lot of coordination and communication. He worked with John Wallace and the police department to make sure that in some of the more difficult areas, and as the project went on, we had assistance from officers to make sure that the workers were safe and traffic was rerouted properly. We had them at each end. We had them literally chasing down trucks and turning them around and sending them back. Kenny's knowledge of the road application, the product, how it needs to go down, what temperature will it work, when do we pull back. He saved the city money. He absolutely made sure that this project went down the way it was supposed to, what we paid for, so that we got the value for our money. And then when the project is done, he'll review the bills and make sure that what we're getting billed for is what we got out of the project and what's included in the bid that they said they would do. So that process just getting ready to start. But he literally went out and measured this work area. How many square feet, Kenny?
$41,621.
True story. Kenny called me every day, minimum, every day. It was sometimes 3, 4, 5, 6 times a day. He was almost always my first call in the morning, and called me at the end of every day to tell me what we got done today, what are we doing tomorrow, where are we starting, what's the deal. And then we'd come back to City Hall, update the communication, and try to get it out for people. So, I just wanted to say, Kenny, how much I appreciate your dedication, not only to this job, but all of them, but especially on this project. It was complicated, and I'm very happy he did not have a heart attack at any point. I was a little worried there for a while, so I have a couple of things for you. I have some barricades and a cone for you, and they double as stress balls. I know you can use those. And then one of the things I know that you like to do in your free time, which I don't know when that is exactly, is
most of the time late at night.
right. You work on classic cars,
Yes.
and Kenny has a big role in a lot of our car shows and always has. So we wanted to get you a little thank you gift, and we have a gift card for you from Jegs, the supplier for your classic cars, $500. So please use that and try to find some time to spend with your cars and not everyone else's cars.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
I would like to say that I enjoy my job most of the time. Part of this job was rather trying, but I would like to thank all the business owners, all the residents on Main Street, and all the people that had to walk a block to get over to the other side of Main Street while we had the Liquid Road down. Our local people were great to work with. They really stepped up and they went above and beyond too. And I know sometimes equipment would break down, instead of one day we had them shut down, we had them shut down too. So big thank you goes out to all them and to all the staff that worked with me. I think this was a group effort getting this done. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I just want to say that I know he walked or ran every square inch of that work zone from Jefferson Street all the way to the top of Hanover Hill. And there was many times where it would be 7 or 8 o'clock at night and I'm calling him and asking him questions about something, and he was always there. So I'm grateful that you helped us get through what is probably one of the most complicated road projects we've done in the city.
With this project, and I hope everybody understands, this is not the final product.
Yeah.
This is a process to maintain the road in its present condition until our next grant comes through and we actually do the big project and really make this thing look nice. This is a preservation. It's to keep it status quo, and I think we've accomplished that. So I look for bigger and better things once we get the big project in. Then you're gonna see Madison's Main Street really gonna look good.
Thank you, Kate. That ends our reports to city officials, so we do not have any bills on third reading, so I'll turn it back over to Jason for one bill we do have on second reading.
Ordinance number 2021-19, an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Madison, Indiana, amending certain portions of the City of Madison Port Authority ordinance as found in Chapter 33 of the City of Madison Municipal Code.
So this is the second reading. We can open up to questions or public comment. And the sponsor is Councilman Tenema.
I'd like to thank the mayor for bringing this up. It's not often that government actually reduces its size. So. And I think it should make the Port Authority Board more manageable, better able to function and get work done. And if there is no comment from the audience or objection from council, I'll move to suspend the rules and go to the meeting.
I would second that.
We can't have additional discussion?
We can have, yeah.
Okay.
I think he said if there wasn't, so we can.
Can I just ask one question?
Sure.
So the current, and I haven't looked at this, so I apologize. The current ordinance, does it say appointed, shall all be appointed by mayor currently, or did city council?
It currently does.
It
So
currently
this
does.
ordinance has been in place since 1978.
Okay. I just had, I'm sorry. 'cause
Oh, it's okay. The only thing we're changing is the
number
number of
from
board members from 9 to 7, and that will make it really more manageable from a board perspective. When you look at the activity of the Port Authority, Adam is here, our new general manager, beginning of the year. He can comment if he wants to about it. But a 7-person board will do fine managing that. Statewide, a typical Port Authority has 5 members. We have had 9 since 1978. We had several resignations recently, and that prompted us to review the ordinance, the status of the ordinance. And after discussion with the remaining board members, we agreed that 7 would be a good number.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Councilman. Any further, any additional questions or comments from anybody? Okay.
Question.
Oh, okay.
What's considered a quorum for 7? For the Port Authority?
Before.
Before.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. We had a motion and a second on suspending the rules and going to 3rd reading. Roll call.
Kavanaugh? Yes. Lucy DeTillo?
Yes.
Bartlett?
Yes.
Rampy?
Yes.
Dan DeTillo?
Yes.
Chatham?
Yes.
Now we'll move to the 3rd reading.
Ordinance number 2021-19, an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Madison, Indiana, amending certain portions of the City of Madison Port Authority ordinance as found in Chapter 33 of the City of Madison Municipal Code.
Chatham?
Yes.
Dan DeTillo?
Yes.
Rampy?
Yes.
Bartlett?
Yes.
Kavanaugh? Yes. Lucy DeTillo?
Yes.
Thank you, Council. Okay, moving on. As you know, in each of our meetings, we have a public comment area where anybody's welcome to address council and the mayor's office with thoughts or suggestions, and we'll invite the public now. If you do come to the podium, please just state your name and address and identify what you'd like to address with council and the mayor's office. If anyone from Mr. Barger's class would like to come up, I welcome you as well. Oh, we have a taker.
First one.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
My name is Brooklyn Cornelius. I'm a student in Mr. Barger's AP Government class at Madison Consolidated High School. So we had to come by the end of our semester to a city council meeting in order to obtain credit for our final exam. But I can say, and I think the rest of us would agree, that we really have gained a lot more than just some credit this evening. We really have appreciated the ability to see what we learned in the classroom to make sense in front of our eyes. So it was a really great experience to be here tonight and watch you guys go through the process of making decisions and appreciating all the work that's been done by different areas of the community. So yeah.
Brooklyn, thank you so much. It's great that you are representing your class and also observing what we're doing here tonight, because you know a lot of work that happens throughout the year, and particularly in the recent weeks, you know, we start talking about as we get together with council and the mayor's office and the department heads, and it's an opportunity for the community. And we're fortunate to live in a fantastic community where there is lots of engagement, and we welcome everybody to come to our meetings. This is, as I mentioned earlier before the meeting started, this is just one meeting that occurs throughout the course of a month, whether it be ourselves or you know, one of the 130 volunteers who serve on a variety of boards and committees that, where they contribute their time, their skill set, their passion, their resources to help our community prosper. And the quality of life in Madison is exceptional, and in my opinion. I've lived here my entire life, and I wouldn't want to live anywhere else. And tell us a little more about what your plans are. Are you a senior? You're a senior?
Yes.
Okay.
So at Madison, in order to take AP Government, they've changed rules to where we all have to be seniors. So we all have one more semester left of high school. We'll be moving on to econ with Mr. Whitaker next semester. After that, my plans as of right now are, I think, to go to DePaul and Greencastle and study journalism. So yeah.
And what brought you to have an interest in journalism? Are you on the Madisonian staff now?
Sadly, I'm not,
Okay.
because I wasn't able to fit it into my
Okay.
schedule, but I love meeting new people, talking to people, and connecting with their stories. It makes me so happy to get to meet new people wherever I go. So my hope is that I can use a platform and a love for writing to help give people a voice that they might not have otherwise.
Brooklyn, do you think that there's enough interest across our community with our young student population to have a youth council?
I do think that that could be a great possibility. I know a lot of people my age are really starting to get interested in politics and what's happening in our world because we realize that it affects us and we can affect it. So I think that it would be a great thing for that to be a possibility coming up.
Great. And here's a real tough question. What was your favorite part of A Christmas Story play?
Oh, I loved when the dog Lucy, also known as the Bumpus Hound, came out. It was so much fun because we never knew exactly how long she would stay and eat the food on the tray. So it was really fun to mess with that and try to get her off the stage while still bringing it up to the crowd.
I took my 2-year-old grandson to the matinee on Sunday, and the dog came out perfectly on cue. Perfectly on cue. And it was also one of the highlights, but it was a fantastic production. You've been in theater your entire time there? Or?
Yes, so this is my 4th year in theater. I started it freshman year really just for the art credits because I was like, well, I can't really draw, and at the time I couldn't really sing, and we've improved a bit. So I was like, my older brother did theater, and I was like, if he can do it, I can do it. So, and now we've fallen in love, and we're still in theater.
Who did it better?
Oh, me.
No, of course.
Yeah,
Of course.
I won the legacy role, so he didn't, so yeah.
There you go.
No debate there.
Well, again, thank you, and you're representing your class very well. If there's any of your other classmates who would also like to address council in the mayor's office, you're welcome to do so. If you have any questions about government, you can ask them now, or reach out to the mayor's office or any of your city council representatives across our community, and they're happy to share with you anything, answer any questions you might have on your mind.
I think I'm good. You guys want to say anything? Thank you guys so much for your time.
Thank you, Brooklyn. Thank you for coming. The floor is still open for anybody who would like to address council or mayor's office. All right, well, I've got a couple of things to update council and the community on. I'd like to mention that one of the things we've been working on the last couple of months is our extension of the Memorandum of Understanding for the winter warming shelter with the Salvation Army. That's been fully executed now, and the warming shelter is actually open tonight because it's satisfied the guidelines. As the temperatures are getting colder, we definitely want those who don't have a place to get out of the elements to have a safe place to go. And I'm really grateful for all the volunteers who've gone through the training in order to be able to serve at the Salvation Army winter shelter. We'll mention too that Governor Holcomb did extend the public health emergency another month to January the 1st of next year. We are seeing continued presence and in some instances increase in positive cases of COVID. That is stressing our resources, our healthcare resources. That combined with other things, I think, is putting a lot of pressure on our workforce, particularly pending potential mandates has affected workforce. With regards to Light Up Madison and the Merry Madison Christmas Parade, a lot of work throughout the city of Madison, staff, and Fagan, Chief Wallace, Chief DeVries, making sure that the event was safe. Tony Sorrells and the street department, their crew, Aaron Kelsey, who organized it, all of the participants who had fantastic floats and volunteered throughout, and as well all the sponsors, including our title sponsor, German American Bank. We received a lot of positive remarks about how great this year's parade was, and the after parade festivities along Broadway Park with the ice skating rink and reindeer and pictures with Santa and the holiday market and the farmers market. The home tour was going on, which I think was also successful. Lucy, you might want to comment on the home tour, because it looked like it was very successful.
We had a record year. We sold all, excuse me, all 400 tickets plus.
Wow.
So we had over 100 volunteers, so I'd like to thank the volunteers that volunteered and filled in and hosted at the homes as well.
The homes were beautiful. The town was vibrant. It looked beautiful. The restaurants and every place around the community seemed to be enjoying good business, and
it was Madison at its best.
that's great. I ran into a couple of folks at the coffee shop, a couple from Canada and a couple from Cincinnati, and I talked with them for a bit about what brought them to Madison, and the reference to how charming and beautiful, and it could be, the scene for a Hallmark movie kept coming up, and they're exactly right. All across our community, we receive a lot of compliments, and again, it takes an entire community to accomplish what we're accomplishing. I do want to mention too that we presented last Friday the Southern Indiana Regional Development Authority, which Jefferson County and the City of Madison is a member of. I was on the presentation team, and we made a presentation to the Indiana Economic Development Corporation for an $85 million grant that we feel would produce $1 billion of economic activity across our region over the course of the next couple of years. IEDC is in charge of evaluating all of the 17 proposals for distribution of $500 million in grant proceeds for a regional economic accelerated development initiative. So we put together very thoughtful destination and workforce development plans. They were featured in the Regional Development Authority's statewide plan. By December the 17th, we should find out how the allocation of funds are being made with the $500 million and how much funding our redevelopment authority would receive, and then that will essentially translate into support for the projects that we submitted, and then our real work begins, which is pulling all of those projects together and prioritizing those and working with you and our redevelopment commission to make them happen. Lastly, I'll mention, Tony didn't talk about the transfer station operations, but I'll mention a little bit, which is the fact that we entered into an agreement this summer to process the trash from Jefferson County collection points. And since July, just in a matter of a few months, we have processed about 950 tons of trash from their collection points. And so I think that's been a good agreement, a good arrangement for both of us, and certainly for Jefferson County. And as Tony mentioned, tons of leaves, and we'll have a full report in January, kind of a year in review about what we've done and all the work that we've took on ourselves over the course of the year, and then talk about priorities for 2022. Happy to answer any questions, and I'll leave it there.
I've got one thing, Mayor. I think it'd be appropriate that we recognize today is the 80th anniversary of the attack at Pearl Harbor, and I think it would behoove us all to remember all those veterans, both living and deceased, who have served our country and made it the country that it is today. And just like to make sure that we acknowledge that at our meeting. That's all I got.
Thank you, Clerk. I appreciate it. Jason, thank you for being here tonight.
I appreciate it.
Will you come back?
Yes.
Okay, good. We like you a lot better than Joe. For the record.
I can't thank you.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. We love Joe. Thank you all for being here tonight, and for those who aren't coming back, we do have another meeting on December the 21st. You're all welcome back, but if we do not see you, please have a great, safe, and enjoyable Christmas and New Year's. Motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you.